It's one of the clearest lies that we ever heard, because it's clear that if someone rejected the institution of jihad, which some of the scholars have made to be the sixth pillar of al-Islam, then that would necessitate that the person goes outside of the circle of al-Islam. But we're just saying what we understand from the book and what we understand from the history and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is that there is no jihad for a group of people who they themselves do not make jihad on their own selves. And there is no jihad for a group of people who do not want to follow and practice what Allah Ta'ala has told us in the Quran and in the Sunnah. I have never seen an ayat of the Quran or a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ that supports or suggests that one of us can take a bomb and put it in the Brixton tube station, blow up the station, kill Muslims, non-Muslims, old people, children, women, and they say this is jihad against kufr. I've never seen anything that supports that. So this is why we brought the people of knowledge to come to discuss these types of issues. So the point that we want to make now, Ikhwan, is that we are not going to tolerate. When the question and the answer time comes, we are not going to tolerate those things that took place in the past with the Sheikh in Luton. This is not Luton here today. This is Brixton. And we do not want this thing to get out of hand. So we are pleading with the brothers. And we're not threatening anyone. We are pleading with the brothers for us to be brothers in al-Islam and to observe the proper adab and respecting the one of knowledge and respecting the dayf or the guest. And we want the people to bear witness that we extend our hearts and we open our arms for any question. We don't care. You ask what you want. But we are not going to tolerate those things that happened in the past. And the people know what I'm talking about. So let this be a clear indication that if you are not going to be able to control your emotions, then now is the time for you to get up and to leave. Or now is the time for you to stay downstairs. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us, inshallah, and to make it easy for you as well, and may He write for all of us the tawfiq. He went on to say that there is no doubt whatsoever that the word jihad is a word that has a lot of religious implications, and it has its dalala al-shar'iyya. He went on to say, whenever we hear the word of jihad, the meaning of jihad, the religious meaning of jihad, is fighting or making the jihad against the enemies of Allah. Those people who do not want the truth. They do what? يَبْغُونَهُ عِوَجًا. They don't want the truth. They want everything other than the truth. That which is not straight. They desire that which is crooked. That which is not from Allah. The Shaykh went on to say, they are the ones who stand in front of the religion. And they look at the religion with enmity and hatred. And they want to prevent the spread of al-Islam and to cause al-Islam to regress and to go backwards. That's the meaning of al-jihad in its religious sense. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly has legislated this jihad that we just mentioned. And when we look at the authentic seerah or history of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we will find the legislation of al-jihad fi sabilillah being something that is supported clearly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, during the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam, He allowed the mustad'afin, those people who were weak and oppressed in the earth, those people who believed in Allah and they were not persecuted except because of that belief, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them permission and allowed them to protect themselves and to fight against those people who were trying to persecute and oppress them. When did He do that? He did that in the battle of Badr and in the small parties that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to send out even before the battle of Badr. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has clearly come and instructed us and explained to us the manzila or the place and position of al-jihad in this religion in many ayat and many ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the clearest ones is the hadith of Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, when he said to Mu'adh, shall I not tell you what is the head of the affair, and what is the pillar of the affair, and what is the peak of the matter? Mu'adh radiyallahu ta'ala anhu said, yes, tell me ya Rasulullah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the Ra'sul Amr, the head of the affair, is al-Islam, and its pillar is al-Salah, and the peak of the matter is al-Jihad fi sabilillah. The Shaykh went on to say that this hadith shows us, along with the other texts, that the place of jihad is azima, and is very high, it's great, and it's exalted. But the companions, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, we find them being a people who, more than anyone else, they understood this exalted place of jihad. And they also understood the virtues of jihad. And they also understood the virtue that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to the shuhada, and the reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared for the shuhada. They knew all of those ayat, and they were the narrators of all of those ahadith that support the virtues of jihad and the rewards of the mujahideen. And from those rewards is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the shuhada, those people who yawm al-qiyamah, they will be with the nabiyyin, with the prophets, and they will be with the siddiqeen, with the truthful ones, and they will be with the shuhada and the salihin, and they will be with the righteous ones. And Allah went on to say in this ayah, and what a respected, what an honorable fraternity they are. He said that those people, those companions, they knew all of this, but their understanding of jihad was the understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted. And we can see this very clearly in the incident that happened with Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. They're making jihad today. There is no imam and there is no liar. He went on to say this type of jihad will never lead them to anything other than that which is evil and to fasad. They think that they're making jihad, but in fact they're not making any jihad. So the Sheikh said, we do not award the most merciful, and we'll have mercy, because we do not say that whoever participates in this type of fight, and he 5 pillars that everyone knows. A man who was sitting in the presence of Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said to Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, after mentioning those 5 pillars, he said to Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and jihad. The Shaykh went on to say that Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, he said to the man, what I just said to you, that's what I heard Rasulullah saying, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And in the narration to Ibn Hibban, rahmatullahi alayhi, when the man said to him, what about jihad? Abdullah ibn Umar said, jihad is hasanun. Jihad is good. But what I just told you, that's what the Prophet told us, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the Shaykh mentioned that to say what? He mentioned that to explain to us how the companions understood jihad. That they understood it the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated it, and the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted it to be understood. So based upon this statement of Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, and based upon this authentic hadith, Islam has been built upon 5 pillars. The Shaykh said, it is wrong and incorrect when we find those scholars or those people who say that the 6th pillar of al-Islam is al-Jihad. This is a statement that the people make. He said, but we do not support it. It is a wrong statement to say that the 6th pillar of al-Islam is jihad. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ clearly said, al-Islam has been built upon 5 pillars. The shahada, la ilaha illallah. There is no God worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And establishing the salah 5 times a day, and giving the zakat, and fasting in Ramadan, and making hajj to Mecca for the person who can do it. Sheikh went on to say, this is a clear indication that the pillars are 5, and that's what we remain with. But jihad is great, and it's tremendous in its place. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that it was the peak of the matter in the hadith of Mu'adh ibn Jabal. And it is enough for you brothers as well as you sisters, it is enough for us to know about the tremendous virtues of jihad simply from the fact that those people who have gotten killed, those people who were slaughtered, fi sabilillah, they are actually living and they are in the presence of Allah, and He is giving them. He's giving them their rizq. As Allah said in the Quran, do not think those people who were killed in the cause of Allah, do not think them to be dead, but instead they are living. They are with their Lord and He is providing for them. He is giving them their sustenance. This alone is a clear indication. Not to mention the fact that the mujahid who gets killed, fi sabilillah, he gets killed and then he will wish that he can come back to the earth in order to get killed again, then to come back to the earth in order to get killed again, then to come back to the earth because of the great rewards that Allah has bestowed for the shuhada, those people who get killed making jihad fi sabilillah. Finally, the Shaykh said, for this reason we find that the scholars of Islam in the past, in showing the importance of al-jihad, they have written for us those scholars in the past, ikhwan, to show us the importance of al-jihad and to preserve for us this legacy and this knowledge. They have preserved for us books so that we can become people who are educated in jihad. Imams and scholars like Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak and the famous man Ibn Abi Asim, rahmatullahi alayhima. They have written books telling us about jihad and the levels of jihad and the position of jihad in Islam and what Allah has explained about jihad and what is the reward of the mujahideen, and they did not consider al-jihad as the sixth pillar of al-Islam. A very, very important point here so that the brothers do not misunderstand. And that is, in that last hadith, the hadith of Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam described al-jihad as the peak of the matter. He said to the Mu'adh that the head of the affair was Islam, and that the pillar was as-salah, and the peak of the affair was al-jihad. Shaykh went on to say, the dhurrat al-sinam, this peak of the matter is the highest. The meaning in Arabic of this word is the highest thing. It's like the camel, the back of the camel, that hump, they call that hump the dhurrat al-sinam. That's what it literally means in Arabic. So it's the highest part of the camel. So when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam described the jihad, it's as if he's saying it is the highest part of this camel, of the religion. The Shaykh went on to say that what we need to understand here is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has explained to us by this hadith. Is this hadith saying that al-jihad being the peak of the matter, is it more important than salah? Is the hadith saying that it's more important than fasting? Is the hadith saying that it's more important than zakat? Is the hadith saying that al-jihad is more important even than the tawheed of Islam? The Shaykh went on to say we have to understand this hadith according to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in this hadith, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam broke it down and he made three divisions. The first part, he said, Ra'sul Amr, the head of the affair is Islam. And then he said, the pillar of the affair is Salah. And the third division is, and the peak of the matter is Jihad fi sabilillah. The Shaykh went on to say, when he said to us, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ra'sul Amr al-Islam, the head of the matter is al-Islam. Al-Islam here means at-Tawheed. The affair, the head of the affair is al-Islam, meaning at-Tawheed. He went on to say that it is this Tawheed, which means the oneness of Allah. And this Tawheed has been explained already in one of the tapes by the Sheikh Ahmed Salam. You can get that tape. He said that this Tawheed is the thing that makes the human being a creation that is beneficial when he benefits. He said if this Tawheed is lost in the life of the human being, then there is no true life to that human being, even if he's walking on the face of the earth. And if he has no Tawheed, it is as if his head has been cut off. So when the Prophet ﷺ said, the head of the affair is al-Islam or al-Tawheed, if the head is cut off, then there is no benefit concerning what is going to follow after that. So the head of the affair is al-Tawheed, and it is the most important thing. And for this Tawheed, which is the head of the affair, it is because of this that the Jihad was legislated in the first place. And the proof of that is the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he said, I was sick close to the hour. I was sick. Rasulullah is saying sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I was sick close to the hour being established, and I was ordered to fight the people until Allah is worshipped alone, until the Tawheed of Allah is established. So this hadith shows us what? That because of the Tawheed, as Jihad was legislated. Because the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith explains to us the reason why he was sick. He went on to say, as for the third part of the hadith, that the peak of the matter is al-Jihad, he said the meaning of that is, when you look at the camel, the hump on the camel, and this is the word that was used, this is the word that was used to express the peak of the matter. When you look at the camel, you look at the hump of the camel. It is that hump of the camel that gives him his power. It is the hump of the camel that gives him his energy. Where he stores, it is the storage for him, for his power and his energy. So likewise, this is the job of the Jihad as it relates to al-Islam. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said in another authentic hadith, my sustenance or my rizq, my sustenance has been made, and I can find it where? I find my sustenance under the shade of my spear. Meaning we're going to go out and we're going to fight the people. We're going to take from the people when they reject al-Islam. So the Sheikh went on to say, let us understand this point and let us not understand it in a way that it's not supposed to be understood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not sent any Rasul, nor has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent any book except for them to establish at-Tawheed. I went on to say, Ikhwan, that this Jihad this Jihad that we have come to mention and we have explained it and we have discussed with you its legislation, and we have already mentioned as well its place, and we have mentioned the reward of those who participate in it and those who get their lives taken as a result of it. We've mentioned all of that. We have explained to you that al-Jihad is not an affair that is left out just like that, nor is it an action that is coming as a result of emotionalism, nor is it a response to another action. It is not a response to another action. But Jihad, what it is a nizam mundabit. It is a system that has its consistencies attached to it. It is also some qawaid or principles, and it also happens to be some usul as well. The Sheikh said, in order for the Jihad to be done properly and in order for it to be understood properly, there has to be some muqaddimat and there has to be some nata'ij. The muqaddimat means what? There has to be some things, some items, some matters that have to be in place before you even begin thinking about Jihad. In order for the Jihad to be successful, these muqaddimat have to be there. They are the things that are in place before you even think about Jihad. We're going to mention now, inshaAllah, two of those muqaddimat. The first thing that we want to mention is that in order for there to be the proper jihad, which is going to be successful, there has to be the necessary preparation and precaution. There has to be the i'dad, or the preparation for jihad. Or why else would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala order us? Order the people who are the people of jihad. Why would He order us in the Quran when He said, and prepare for them, a'iddu wa a'iddu, and prepare for them everything that you can prepare from your power and your might. Prepare what you have from the horses. Prepare everything from your might, from your weaponry, as well as from your horses, so that you can do what? So that you can strike fear in the heart of the enemies of Allah and the enemies of your own self. So this ayah here is clearly telling us and ordering us and informing us to be of the people who prepare. He went on to say that this ayah is an ayah that we read it in the Quran, and it's from the Quran, and we hear people reading it, especially those people who have made their dawah. The sum total of their dawah is al-jihad. We hear them reading this ayah. We hear that their minhaj is all about jihad. We hear that all of their kalam or all of their speech is only about jihad. We read this and we hear this ayah being read to us, but we see the people not reading it, nor do we hear it based upon its proper meaning. We do not find the people hearing it, reading it, practicing it with the proper tarbiyah that they need. We do not find people reading this ayat or hearing this ayat, those who call to it. We do not find the proper aqidah that these people are on. Not to mention, we don't hear them reading this ayat and they know about the usul or the principles of al-jihad, nor do they know about the rules and regulations of this jihad. The jihad to these people, unfortunately, has become a pillar of their religion. And not only a pillar, but it is the pillar. But this is not the case. This is not true. This is not the position that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the jihad in. We do not say that al-jihad in the cause of Allah does not have an honorable and exalted position in the religion. We have already established that, yarhamakallah. And that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam said in authentic hadith, whoever dies and he does not encourage himself to make jihad, whoever dies and he does not make jihad, and he doesn't even encourage himself to make jihad, he has died on one of the parts of hypocrisy. We do not say that jihad is not important and that its position is not exalted. When the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, whoever dies and he has not ever made jihad, nor does he talk and encourage himself to make jihad. If he dies in this state, he has died on a piece or a part of hypocrisy. This hadith, we cannot escape its meaning and its message. It is clearly establishing for us that the jihad has a tremendous manzila or place and a tremendous makan. But we do not at the same time say that the jihad is greater than the tawheed or the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do not say that jihad is greater and more important and more significant than the salah and then fasting and giving the zakat and going to the hajj. We do not say that. We say that all of these things are important. And all of these things that I just mentioned, the salat and tawheed and all of these things, they are greater than jihad because they in themselves are from the arkan of al-Islam. Today we see, unfortunately, those people who always talk about us unjustly, those people who are the ones who just give speech and their dawah is a lot of talk, they accuse and criticize the people who say to the other ones, we have to learn about the religion. They accuse and they always criticize the people who say, let us teach the other people their deen. Let us teach the other people the legislation al-Hanif that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down. and which is built upon the Quran and the Sunnah, we find that these people, in reality, what they have done is that they have really taken the affair and they have taken the reality and they turned it upside down. They are the ones who are calling to what is false and what is batil, and the other people are calling to the truth. Now they have made the falsehood batil, and they have made the truth falsehood. They have made the falsehood truth, and that which is true falsehood. They want good, but they have not been blessed to receive the good. And this is why Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and this is the statement of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And when we say this is the statement of the companion, it's not to take away from the position of the companion. It's just that no one misunderstands and thinks it's a hadith. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, how many people, their desire is to get the good, but they don't get it? How many people, their desire is to get the good, but they do not get the good? He went on to say that in order to have the bulugh of the haqq, in order for us to realize the truth, then the only way that that realization is going to come about, and the only way that realization is going to be manifested, is by taking the tariq of the haqq. You cannot arrive at the truth taking the wrong way. We have to go by the way of the sharia, or the way of the religion. We cannot be the people, as those people who we are mentioning, they will never, ever, ever reach their goal based upon the type of jihad that they want to implement, based upon the type of jihad that they understand. The Shaykh said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the ayah, and prepare for them, وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ, prepare for them whatever you can prepare, from the power, your weapons, from the horses, so that you can strike fear into the heart of the enemies of Allah and your enemies. The Shaykh said that this hadith or this ayah, it has 2 points that we have to discuss here. 2 points. The first point is that the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he said to the believers, when he said to the companions of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, prepare everything that you are capable of preparing from the horses and your weapons. When he made this statement and this order to them, did he send this statement down in order to them to do this when they were weak and oppressed and incapable and they were feeble? Did he send it down at that time? Or did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send the ayah down and order them to make this preparation when they had the power of Iman and they had the izzah of al-Islam, the honor, the power, the izzah of al-Islam, and when they had the qudra or the ability, and when they had the quwwah? Did he order them to make preparation in the first or in the second example that I gave? He said, we don't know anyone who is in his right mind who would say that he sent this ayah down when their condition was like the first description, weak and oppressed and feeble and incapable. But everyone will be obliged to say that the ayah was sent down concerning the second one, where the description is the power of Iman and the izzah of al-Islam and the quwwah of the brotherhood. The Shaykh went on to say, what does this mean, brothers? This means that jihad has a proper way. It has a sabil, or a way that we have to go about trying to realize it, and we have to accomplish this jihad by this way. Those people who are mutalibun or mutalabun, those people are responsible to make jihad, they have to also be qadirun. They have to be capable. They have to be a people who are in a position to deal with the enemies of Allah and to repel the enemies of Allah and the efforts of the enemies of Allah. They have to have the proper tarbiyah. They have to have the tarbiyah that is sahihah, that is correct, wholesome. They have to have the correct understanding and the correct intellect. Their nufus, or their nafs, their very soul, what it desires, also has to be in tune with what Allah Ta'ala has revealed. And their limbs as well, their jawarih, also have to be what Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is ordering their limbs to do, and not the opposite of that, where the people have no tarbiyah and they have no education and they have the nufus that are other than that, and their arms and their legs and their limbs are working with other than what Allah has legislated. And we see this principle of what I'm saying coming straight to us, and we should put it between our two eyes. Allah's Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam said in authentic hadith, if you people begin to make the commerce and you make the trade with the ina, and the ina is a type of riba, if you people start to make the ina and you become preoccupied with cultivating your crop, and you start to grab the tails of the cows and cultivating your lands with the cows, and you leave off jihad fi sabilillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put upon you lowliness. Allah will put upon you this zulm, which is lowliness. You have no ability. The Sheikh said, and he went on to explain, that this ina is riba, a type of trading that is not permissible. As for taking care of your crop, the cultivation of the crop, and taking the cow, he said this is talking about the man taking money, concerning yourselves with getting the money, and concerning yourselves with the dunya as opposed to the hereafter. Like Allah said in the Quran, all you who believe, what is wrong with you when you are invited to go forth fi sabilillah, you hold on to the earth? All you who believe, what is wrong with you when you are invited, when you are ordered to go out fi sabilillah to fight, you hold on to the earth? Have you put the dunya and its
يركز حولها لا نفعل ذلك.
Allah has the akhirah is better than that. That if we
عن ظالم أو تبريرا لفعل فاسق أو تسويغا لجريمة فاجر، وإنما نعمل ذلك لشيئين.
And we have to make our aql, or our minds and our intellect, we have to make it in accordance to what Allah has revealed. And then in this same hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah will put this lowliness on this community, on you people, and all you have to do is look at the state of the ummah. Look at the Muslims in their diyar, where they're living at, and look at the weakness that you find in the Muslim personality, and look at the minds and the understandings of the Muslims, where they find themselves and they look at themselves as being lesser than the non-Muslims. This is the lowliness. And the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah will not change your state until you come back to your religion, until you establish your religion. So the Sheikh went on to say that these people are telling us that the only way that Islam is going to be established is by us doing that other than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered, in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered. When we return back to the deen, as this ayat has put forth, this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us the honor and the power. We are not like the people who have the nerve and the audacity to stand up in the middle of the street in London, and they call out and they scream out and call out with the highest pitch in their voice that they can muster, and they say there is no honor for Islam except for jihad. Jihad is the only way. We say to them, this is not the way. We say that's Allah. We say what Allah says, and that is وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ. And you people have to prepare what you can. You have to prepare what? You have to prepare yourself to have the proper aqidah. You have to prepare yourself to develop the nufus, and to place and to plant in your nufus al-iman in your nafs. You have to have the proper tarbiyah. You have to have the proper intellect. You have to have the proper understanding of the deen. That's the first point that we get from the ayah. The second point that the Sheikh wanted to mention from this ayah, prepare what you can, is that the ayah went on to say, so that you can strike fear into the heart of Allah's enemy and your enemy. He said that this part of the ayah suggests to us, and it helps us to understand, that the monetary power and the physical power, the quwwa al-madiyah and the ma'nawiyah, this power that you can grab like this from the weapons that you can feel, The Sheikh said that this ayat lets us know that horses and weapons and any other thing that you can use for jihad, they are part of the sabil, part of the way in which we make the people fear us. But they are not the thing or the issue that will give us victory over the non-Muslim. But what gives the Muslim victory over his enemy, those people who are against Al-Islam and who try to extinguish the light of Al-Islam by blowing it out with their tongue, the thing that gives us victory over them is our iman, our belief, our iman, our faith. Allah said in the Quran, how many times did a small band of people overcome and vanquish and destroy a large band of people by Allah's permission? It was not with the weaponry. How many times has a small band of people overcome and destroyed and vanquished a small band of people? And another ayat, Allah Ta'ala tells us, if you people assist Allah, if you help Allah, Allah will help you and He will establish your feet firmly. In another ayat of the Quran, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala said, and verily Allah will help those people who help His religion. So the Shaykh went on to say, all of this, ikhwan, all of this, what I have just mentioned, of these people who are making these foolish statements that we're going to make jihad without preparation, that we're going to make jihad, and it's the jihad itself and the weapons itself that bring back the power and bring back to Al-Islam its former place of supremacy in the world. These people are foolish, and they are from our skin, meaning they are like us, they are similar to us, they speak the tongue that they have the same tongue, they speak the same language. They are the ones who are trying to put themselves over us and trying to put themselves over our ulama and over our scholars. And they think that they're doing something, but in fact they are not doing anything except harming themselves and harming Al-Islam. Do they not reflect? Do they not think? They are the ones who made fasad in the earth, all the while claiming that they're making jihad. This jihad that they're making is the cause and the reason of so much fitna, fasad. He went on to say, ikhwan, the true weapon that the Muslim has to have first is the weapon of at-tawheed, the weapon of knowing his religion. And then after that, we look at the other monetary things, those things which are tangible, that we can hold on to them and that we can use in order to establish this religion. He said we do not look at those monetary things and place a lot of value upon them, because the ummah is not going to be protected except with the proper iman. He said, look at this. If we were to look at these kuffar and what they have and what they have manufactured, and we look at their weapons, if we were to look at them with the naked eye and put aside everything else, just look at their numbers and look at their capabilities, never would you think that we would be able to even face them or to make them a wajah. Never will we be able to face them, not to mention have victory over them. But we don't look with that type of eye. We don't look with the naked eye. We look at the issue with the eye of al-aqidah. And we look at the fact that Allah is the one who is most powerful, most capable. Don't you see what took place at Badr? When the two groups met, the kuffar far outweighed the Muslims in number. And the Muslims were the minority to those kuffar. But in spite of that, the victory was to who? The victory, obviously, as you all know, was to the Muslims. But then let us look further down into the books of history and into the annals of history. Let us look at the battle of Hunayn, the day of Hunayn, when the Muslims had the majority and the kuffar, they were the minority. And when the two groups met, there was a problem in the nufus of the Muslims. They had in their hearts some khalal, which was they thought they were impressed with their numbers. They looked at their actual numbers and compared them to the numbers of the kuffar, and they were oppressed. And they didn't look at The issue is the eye of looking at the aqidah of the power of Allah. So what was the situation? When they looked at the issue with that type of look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the victory to the kuffar. So this ayat is remaining in the Quran, it's preserved in the Quran, and it's there to be read until Yawm al-Qiyamah for the people to take an understanding. For the people to take an understanding. Understanding of what? To understand that the true power and ability comes as a result of the Aqidah. The true power and ability comes as a result of practicing the Quran. And the true power and ability comes from us applying and being upon the Sunnah. The Sheikh went on to say, and it is not like these people. These people who talk, and it's only about their emotions. It is not a jihad. It is not an action that is atifiyun, that the people are emotional, or the people are hamasiyun, the people who are always agitated, moving based upon their agitation. He said that our shuyukh, who these people talk about, these people are oppressive. If they were only the people who had insaf, and they were just, they would be of the people who would get benefit like the others. Went on to say that this jihad that we've been discussing now, ikhwan, and that all of this speech has gone by already concerning it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, concerning this jihad, as we've been explaining, it's the jihad against the enemies of al-Islam. This is the jihad that we've been talking about. To kill, to slaughter, to demolish and annihilate the non-Muslims, the enemies of al-Islam. But at the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knew and He knows that there's going to be some weakness in certain individuals of the ummah. So what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? To show you the wisdom, Allah ta'ala, He legislated different types of jihad. Different types of jihad have been legislated in Islam. And the scholars of the religion, they have divided these types of jihad into three types. There are three types of jihad that the scholars of Islam have made them into a division based upon the text from the Quran and based upon the text from the authentic sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The first type of jihad is the jihad that the person makes against his nafs and his hawa. The jihad against the nafs, the desire. And inside of this jihad, and inclusive in this jihad, obviously is make a jihad and make it the preparation for jihad by getting the right education. This is something that we need to understand. What's the proof of this? The proof of this is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sallam told us in the authentic hadith, the true muhajir, the one who makes the hijrah, or he makes the pilgrimage. What's hijrah? The one who makes the migration. The true muhajir, the real muhajir, is the one who migrates from that which Allah has made haram, what Allah has prohibited. And the true mujahid, the one who really fights in the cause of Allah, the real mujahid is the one who makes jihad against himself as it relates to the rights of Allah. So that's proof of what? That making jihad against yourself is a type of jihad. What the person does when he makes the jihad against himself is he rectifies his situation. And he also tries his best to give this nafs the proper tarbiyah. And he also tries his best to teach this nafs so as to raise from off of it the ignorant. He teaches them what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated and what the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wassalam has brought and what he has explained. And we also need to understand concerning this point that the jihad in and of itself, it requires a person's ability to unconditionally submit to the text. He has to be a person who hears and he obeys. So if your nafs or the person's nafs is not in the position or is not on a level before even participating in any campaign against the kuffar, if the nafs is not in the position where it is, when it's in this state, free and easy and tranquil, if it is not going to submit itself to the text now, then it is not conceivable, nor is it intelligent to think that when it came time to engage the enemy and the real fighting began, it is not conceivable that that nafs is going to be ready to do the job at that time. The second type of jihad is the jihad of ad-dawah. The jihad of making dawah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those people who are the mujahideen in this particular thing, the people who are given jihad and the ones who we make jihad against concerning the dawah are two types. The dawah is to be given to two types of people. The mujahideen who are given dawah, they have to concern themselves with two types of people. The first people are the enemies of Allah, the enemies of Islam. And the second people that the jihad is made against concerning the jihad of the dawah is the people of al-bid'ah wal-ahwa. The people who are following innovation and the people who are following their desires. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, both of them have ordered us to make jihad against these people, to be mujahideen against the people who are enemies to Islam and the people who are the people of bid'ah and the people of desire. Yahamakullah. So how do we make jihad against them? Obviously we already explained about the enemies of Allah. We make jihad against the other people by our lisan, by explaining and by clarifying and by making the truth clear. And this is what Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, Jahidhum bihi jihadin kabira. Allah ordered the believers to fight them with it, to make the jihad, and He said with it, and He didn't specify. Make jihad against them with it, the big major jihad. The Sheikh went on to say that what Allah was ordering the Prophet to fight the people with, alayhi salatu wasalam, was to fight them with the Quran, to fight those kuffar, and to fight the munafiqeen. Fight them at that time when the ayat was revealed, when there was no fighting. Fight them with it by giving them dawah, by explaining to them the truth. He went on to say that Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, He has ordered us to make jihad against those kuffar with our tongues by explaining. And we see that there was a companion by the name of Hassan ibn Thabit. This man was one of the poets of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was well known for his poetry. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam improving this point of fighting against the kuffar by making them, explaining to them the Islam, the truth. He used to tell Hassan to use his ability in making and formulating these lines of poetry to use it against those people. And he told Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said to Abu Bakr, "Oh Abu Bakr, learn about the lineage of these people. Learn about the lineage of these Arabs so that we can know about their papers, so that we can know what they're about. We can use that in order to explain to them who they really are." So one day, Hassan ibn Thabit, he said to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Verily I am going to help you in the religion in making poetry against these people and making them incapable of speaking." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, upon hearing that from Hassan ibn Thabit radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, "Oh Allah, help him, assist him, and give him victory." And he said, "Oh Allah, give him victory and assist him with the Holy Spirit," meaning Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam. The Prophet told us in another authentic hadith to show you that the jihad against these people is with Allah. He said, prophet who came, except that prophet came along with some Hawariyun. Those Hawariyun were on the guidance of that prophet, and they were on the sunnah of that prophet. And they, after that, there came some people who were unlike them. They started to say what they didn't do, and they started to do what they were not ordered to do. They started to say those things that they didn't do. They made claims, they said things, and they didn't do. And they started to do things that they weren't ordered to do. Whoever makes jihad against them with his hand, he is a mu'min. And whoever makes jihad against them with his tongue, he is a mu'min. And whoever makes jihad against them with his head, with his heart, he is a mu'min. And everything other than that, whoever doesn't participate in these three types of jihad, there is not even a mustard seed or a mustard grain of iman in his heart after that. So the Shaykh went on to say, Ikhwan, this is a clear indication that the jihad is with your tongue, and making the truth clear, and in establishing that which is right. And also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered us to make jihad with the safe, with the equipment and the weapons to kill the kuffar. Allah said in the Quran, verily Allah has purchased from the believers their nafs and their money, because in replace of that they have received the Jannah. Verily Allah has purchased from the believers their persons as well as their money, and in replace or exchange for that, and verily they will have the what? They will have the Jannah. The Shaykh went on to say, for this reason, Ikhwan, al-Islam, this different types of levels of jihad and types of jihad, al-Islam has organized them in a proper order to show you that each one is connected to the other. If the person cannot make the proper jihad of himself and fight and establish al-Islam within himself, it is not conceivable that when we go down and we approach the place or the land, the space, the earth where the jihad is going to take place, it's not conceivable that its feet are going to be established when it's time to meet the enemy and the time of killing comes. Now the Shaykh went on to say, brothers, that this jihad against the enemies of al-Islam, which has already passed and we've explained it, they said, the Shaykh said that the scholars of al-Islam, that it is of two types, this type of jihad against the enemies of al-Islam. The first type of jihad against the enemies of al-Islam is the jihad that he called jihadul dafa, the jihad of repelling the enemy. And some of the scholars also termed this same jihad called, and they called it jihad daf al-sa'i, as sa'i. The Shaykh went on to say, what does that mean? This is the protection or the repelling of the kuffar who are about to enter into the land of the Muslims. They are at the door of the Muslims, and they have come in order to invade the land of the Muslims. He said that this type of jihad is fardu ayn, that it is obligatory upon every single Muslim to do what he can and to play a role and to play his part in preventing this from taking place, whether he is old or young, whether it is a woman or a man. And the person wants to participate in this type of jihad, he does not need the permission of anyone to participate, nor does he need any imam to be in place. The Shaykh went on to say, when these people come to the land of the Muslims, it is incumbent upon everyone in that land from amongst the Muslims to do his job in order to repel these people. The proof of that is that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever dies while trying to protect his religion, he is a shaheed. And whoever dies while trying to protect his honor, he is a shaheed, and so forth and so on. So this hadith tells us that if the man was to protect his land, if some threat came to his land, he is obligated to protect it. The second type of jihad against the kuffar is what is known as jihadul fath. the jihad in which the Muslims are the aggressors, and they are the ones who are putting themselves forth in order to advance upon the disbelievers. And this jihad has 3 goals. The Sheikh only mentioned 2 of them. The first goal of this type of jihad, he said that the first rule or the first goal of this type of jihad is that we desire for the people to accept Islam. So we want these people to enter into the religion of Islam, so we make jihad against them in order to introduce to them the religion. The second goal of this type of jihad, and this type of jihad is what? The offensive, the Muslims being the aggressors, and not the Muslims protecting themselves. The jihad is the first goal of it is to make the people become Muslims. The second goal is the jizya. We go and we advance upon these people and declare war against them with the desire of those people given the jizya and yadin wahum saghirun, and they are lowly. They give the jizya and they have no power and they are lowly. And this is the jihad when they refuse to give us the jizya. If they refuse, this is when we raise the sword, when they refuse the jizya. And the third goal of the jihad, this type of jihad, the jihad of the offensive and the aggressive type of jihad, the goal of it is just to kill the people. The Sheikh went on to say that this type of jihad, the jihad of the aggression, is fard kifaya. And the fard kifaya, as the fuqaha of Islam have explained, it is that action which is obligatory upon everyone in the ummah. It's obligatory upon everyone. But if a group of people from amongst the ummah were to come and do it, then the obligation falls off of the shoulders of the rest of the people. So therefore, if a few people were to come forth and they were to participate in this type of jihad, which is fardu kifaya, and it's the jihad of the aggressive movement of the Muslims, then it is not responsibility, it is a blame, or responsibility is raised off of the shoulders of those people who did not participate. So the Sheikh said this type of jihad, so you have to have the permission of your parents, and you have to have a leader from amongst the Muslims who is in place. There is no jihad, that is the jihad of making the aggression, except there is a leader from amongst the Muslims. And also you need the permission of your parents. You cannot go to that type of jihad and fight. You have to also have a flag or a group of people who you're fighting with from the Muslims. He went on to say the proof of that, the proof of the raya, the proof of the imam, the proof that you need an imam, is that the Prophet ﷺ said that the imam was what? A junnah. And the junnah means al-waqaya, al-himaya. He's the person like the shield. The Prophet ﷺ said that the imam is the shield. The people fight behind this shield. So if this imam says to you, go forth and fight, then go forth and fight. So here the ayah or the hadith establishes for us that there has to be an imam. Also, the proof that there has to be an imam is that Allah says, "O you who believe, what is wrong with you when the call is made and you are ordered to go forth in the earth, you cling to the earth." This istinfar, or this calling out, this order to go out, is being done by the imam. The Shaykh went on to say, as for the proof that there has to be the raya, there has to be a flag, not a physical flag, there has to be a flag or a group of people that you are fighting with, the Muslim body that you are fighting with. The proof of that is that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever fights under the flag of blind following and the flag of asabiyya, just helping your jama'at, your crew, your family, your tribe, then he dies in that type of fight. He dies the death of al-jahiliyyah. The Shaykh went on to say here that if the imam and this flag or the group that's being fought with, if they're not in place, then this is not the proper jihad. So if we look at if we look at the condition of the ummah today, or if we look back 1,000 days, we will find that the picture or the way that they're making jihad today, there is no imam and there is no raya. He went on to say this type of jihad will never lead them to anything other than that which is evil and to fasad. They think that they're making jihad, but in fact they're not making any jihad. So the Shaykh said, we do not. Allah is the most merciful, and we'll have mercy, because we do not say that whoever participates in this type of fight and he is killed, he dies the death of Jahiliyyah and we put them outside of Islam. But what we do say is that this is evil, and the affair of theirs, they need to take, it is wrong, and they need to take a look at themselves and consider. The Shaykh, brothers and sisters, made his last point, and he went on to say that this issue that we're talking about, this issue naturally would lead us to another topic. And it is a topic or an issue that we hear during this time, that many people are speaking about it and they're discussing it. And it is the issue of judging and ruling by other than that which Allah has revealed, based upon the ayat in the Quran, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and whoever does not judge by that which Allah has revealed, whoever doesn't judge by that which Allah revealed, verily they are the kafirun, or they are the disbelievers, because they didn't judge by what Allah revealed. The Shaykh went on to say that there are a group of people who have kharaju an jama'at al-muslimin. They have broken off and renegated and gone outside and away from the Muslim community or the Muslim jama'at. And they have become the people who have shaddu an al-ulama. The ulama are saying one thing and they're saying a totally different thing. So their statement is shadh. Their statement is in contradiction to the scholars. And as a result of that, the affairs have, as the Sheikh said in the affairs have become backwards and upside down, and it has fallen upon them and other people as a problem. And how did it do this? What they did was, their swords now and their statement and their fighting is against the Muslims now, when they themselves found themselves unable to do anything against these people who they were saying, when they weren't able to repel the efforts of the real disbelievers, the real kuffar, the Jews and the Christians. When they weren't able to deal with them and they know they're not able to deal with them, they turn around and they come to the Muslims, and now they want to make their swords unsheathed and they want to fight the Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ has clearly told us and warned us about these people when he said, and he described them and he said about them, they will fight the people of al-Islam and they will leave the people of al-Awthan. They will fight the Muslims, the people of al-Islam, and they will leave the people who worship idols. The Shaykh went on to say, what these people do is, they try to rationalize their actions by saying, we're not going to fight those kuffar, the real kuffar, the Jews and the Christians and the kuffar. They say, yeah, we're going to fight these people who are Muslims. We're fighting them because they're not really Muslims. They're kuffar. They don't rule by what Allah has revealed. The Shaykh said concerning this point and this issue, I want to mention a few things. We have some waqafat. We're going to stop and mention some things about this ayah. The first thing that Yarhamakallah, is that the ayah is general in its implication, in its mantuq and its mafhum. The implication of the ayah, what the ayah is implying, as well as what you understand from the ayah, is that the ayah is general. That the ayah, whoever does not judge, whoever does not judge by what Allah has revealed, then those people are the kuffar. This statement in this ayah is not specific for any particular person. but it is a general statement applying to anyone who fits the description of not judging by what Allah reveals. So the ayat is telling the people that every single person, he has to make it his business to judge by what Allah has revealed and to make himself subservient to what Allah has revealed. So this statement, whoever, includes the ruler and those who the ruler is ruling, and everyone other than them. When I can say this statement of mine will give you what the ayat is all about, and that is that every single person is obliged to establish al-Islam to the best of his ability, and not just certain people. And this is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he also generalized in so many examples by showing us that the legislation is upon everybody in general and not upon any single person specifically. When he said in the authentic hadith, verily all of you are responsible and all of you will be held for his responsibility. Another way that we can translate that is the literal way, when he said, verily all of you are shepherds and you will be responsible for your sheep. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, verily the muqsitun, those people who are just in their rules and their judgments, those people who are just, a general statement, those people who are just will be on members made out of light Yawm al-Qiyamah because of the justice that they used to establish with their families. So with that being the case, ikhwan, the people have given us the tafsir of this ayat, the explanation of this ayat. They have given us 5 different meanings to this ayat. Which ayat? Whoever doesn't judge by what Allah has revealed, those are the kuffar, the disbelievers. The people who explained this ayat in the Quran, they gave the tafsir, they gave 5 different possible meanings of this ayat, and those 5 different meanings are not contrary to each other. They are not contrary, but instead they can go along with one another. The first meaning, that this means whoever sees a ruling that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed in the Quran or in the Sunnah, and he makes the juhud, he intentionally fights against it, and he says, nope, I'm not going to accept that. He says, for an example, you don't have to pray. Prayer is a ruling in Islam. So this man says, no, you don't have to pray. I'm not praying. You don't have to. It's not a part of Islam. This is juhud. It said that the ayat means that if the person makes the juhud, then he is a kafir. But if a person, some ruling comes to him like prayer or something, but he doesn't do it because he's tired or lazy or he just doesn't want to do it, but he believes it's the truth and it's proper, then this person is not a kafir, but he is oppressive, a zalim, and he is fasiq, an evildoer. This statement is the statement of the companion or the tabi'i whose name is Ikrimah. The second meaning that the scholars have given to this ayat is the meaning of it, whoever does not judge by what Allah has revealed, those people are the kuffar. The meaning of kuffar here, or kufr here, is kufr dun kufr. It's disbelief, but not the disbelief that throws you outside of the realm of Islam. Not to judge by what Allah revealed is disbelief, but it is not the disbelief that throws you outside of the realm of Islam. Yahmakallah. And similar to it are the other 2 ayats. Whoever does not judge by what Allah revealed is kufr, that is less than the kufr that throws you outside of Islam. And this is the statement of the tarjuman of the Quran and the hibr of the ummah, the scholar of the ummah, as well as the interpreter of the Quran, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, as well as the companion of the tabi'een, Ta'ud and Ata. Ta'ud and Ata. The third opinion is that this ayat is specifically talking about the Jews of Bani Israel. Whoever doesn't judge by what Allah has revealed is talking about the Jews, because the ayat was revealed because of them. But the ulama of Islam say no, this is not an opinion we can accept, because of the principle that says that the ibr is with the amum and love, that the benefit of the rules of Islam, the benefit of why this ayat was revealed, the benefit of why the Prophet said this, the benefit is not because of the specific reason why this thing was said or done, but it's because of the general statement. Fourth thing is that the scholars said that this ayah is general, it's applicable to everyone. And this is the statement and the opinion of the companion Hudayfa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. When this ayah was read in the presence of Hudayfa, someone said to him, "This is talking about the Jews." Hudayfa said to him, "The Jews are good brothers to you, because they will get the mur, or that which is sour, and you will get that which is hur. You will get that which is hot." Meaning, what happened to them, you can learn from that situation. And the fifth and final example is, or statement or meaning is, that this ayah is pertaining to the Jews. Whoever does not judge by that which Allah revealed, it is talking about the Jews, and it is talking about the Christians and the evil ones from amongst the Muslims. So what the majority of the scholars say, Ikhwan, from those five statements is that the ayat is talking about the kufr that isn't really kufr. It is kufr, but it's not the disbelief that takes you outside of the ummah. And Al-Imam Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he has said that there is ijma'. Ibn Qayyim radiyallahu wa rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that there is ijma' or consensus from the people of the past, that the meaning of this ayat is kufr that doesn't take outside of Islam. And he wrote that statement in his book Madarij al-Salikin, when he talked about the ruling of leaving off salah. And also when we look at the books of tafsir, this is the statement of Ibn Qayyim, that it's ijma', consensus. And also when we look at all of the people who wrote the tafsir books, all of them say that the meaning of this is the kufr that does not take you outside of Islam. And there was even an ijma' that was supported by the Khalifa, whose name is Ma'mun, the one who was persecuting the people. One time, Ma'mun, afallahu anhu wa anna, he was approached and he said to those people from the Khawarij who left and went outside of his rule, he said to them, "Why have you people rebelled against me and renegated?" They said to him, "Because of the ayat, whoever doesn't judge by what Allah has revealed, verily they are the kuffar." So they were saying that you are not Muslim, Ma'mun. So Ma'mun said, "How do you understand that? When the people who were revealed, it was revealed to, didn't understand it like that. You believe that it was revealed to the companions, but you want to understand it other than the way that they understood it. So that person who was from the Khawarij, when he noticed this argument of Ma'mun, how did he get this ayah? He got this ayah because the companions preserved it for him. So he believes in the ayah. He wants to use the ayah. So Ma'mun is saying, you believe in the ayah from the ones who gave it to you, but now you don't want to follow their explanation of it. So that person who was from the Khawarij, upon seeing that, he left what he was doing and he came back to the Jama'ah. The Shaykh went on to say that the scholars of the Salaf, the ulama of the Salaf, all of them say that whoever says this ayah means that you are a kafir, you're outside of Islam, and they do not make the distinction, saying that it's in the Aqidah, anyone who's using it just to put anyone outside of Islam, then know that that person is on the way of the Khawarij. And none of the major scholars, none of the ulama of the past, not one of them has ever said that the one who doesn't judge by what Allah has revealed is a kafir automatically just like that. And so the Shaykh went on to give some examples. And the first example that he gave was Al-Imam Al-Ajuri. In his book of Sharia, he made this statement and he said that those people who want to take this ayah They want to take it from the mutashabiha, those ayahs that are not clear, and they are from the people who like the Khawarij. Also, the famous Imam Ibn Abdul Barr, rahimahullah ta'ala, in his book At-Tamheed, which is the explanation of the book of Imam Malik, rahimahullah, he also said the same thing. And also Imam al-Jassar, in his book, which he gave the tafsir and the ahkam of the Quran, he said in this book of tafsir that these people who say that, they are out and they are like the Khawarij. Also Abu Hayyan, in his book, he also said the same thing. Also Abu Ya'la, in his book Masail al-Iman, in this book Abu Ya'la, rahmatullahi ala ulama al-Islam jami'a, he said that whoever uses this ayat to put people outside of al-Islam, all of them are on the characteristics of the Khawarij. And this is what I wanted to say now. And if there's any addition that's going to be said, or if there's anything that there's going to be a reply, which I'm sure there is going to be, then we'll deal with it later. Now my brother, the Sheikh, is going to give his last words, inshallah. Yes, Sheikh. He said, I'm going to complete this majlis that we have, inshallah, this blessed majlis, inshallah. This majlis in which we ask and pray to Allah to make it a majlis of light, of nur, and to make it a majlis of diya, which also is a type of light for Ahl Sunnah, and to make this majlis a majlis which is a thunderbolt, which is a cause of sorrow for the people of Bid'ah. He said, I want to complete this by making 4 points only. The first point is that we need to understand that this issue is a very dangerous issue, and that the one who is falling into it and he is making it his business to be a part of it, he is a person who is between disbelief himself and between oppression as well as fisk, which is evil. And when we talk about this issue, I want you people to understand that when we talk about it and the way we talk about it, we're not saying the things that we're saying in an attempt to try to defend the Taghut or the oppressor, nor are we trying to say what we're saying in an attempt to give an excuse and to rationalize the behavior and the actions of a fasiq, nor are we trying to make you think that it's okay these crimes that some of these people are making, these men who is a fajr. This is not why we're saying this. He said, but what we coming here to do, the reason why we say what we say and we've taken the position that we've taken and we understand what we understand is because of A, we're only talking about it this way because we're explaining the truth without going beyond the bounds of the truth. He said, number 2, because this issue itself is an issue in which it has been the cause of much destruction and much sorrow and many, many problems and catastrophes that have befallen the Muslims. And it has caused the da'wah and the Muslims to go back years and years and to redo and undo the efforts that were already realized by the people who went before us. Anyone who understands our intention is other than what I've just put forth, then all I can do is make dua for you. All I can do is ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take you off of your hawa and to help you to be a person of sincerity. And if Allah chooses, He gives you that guidance of my dua. And if He doesn't choose, then I ask Allah to do with you what He sees as being the most appropriate. That's the first thing. The second point of the 4 points that I want to make in closing off is that I want to mention to you the statement of Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala in the book that he wrote called Ar-Ruh, or the soul. He wrote a book about the soul, and he said that the hukum or the ruling is of 3 types. And hukum or the ruling is divided into 3 types. There are 3 types of ruling. The first hukum is the hukum that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down. And it is the hukum of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said that this rule or this hukum is sawab, and there is no doubt that is correct. This is the ruling that is correct and there's no doubt that it's not correct. The second type of hukum is the ruling which is mu'awwal. Mu'awwal means what? A man comes, as the Shaykh went on to say, it is the ruling of the imam, or an imam, or a mujtahid. This ruling is susceptible to being correct as well as to being incorrect. The man who gets it right, his ta'wil is correct, he'll get 2 rewards, and the one whose ta'wil is wrong, he'll get 1 reward. So the second ruling is the ruling of the hukum that is mu'awwal. It comes with a ta'wil. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. The third and final ruling, and we're talking about the second point of the 4 points that the Shaykh wanted to talk about. The third type of ruling concerning this second point, which is the statement of Ibn Qayyim in his book Ar-Ruh, is the hukum that is mubaddal, the ruling that has been changed around. There's a ruling that is correct, someone came and took that ruling and changed it around totally. The Shaykh went on to say, this is the ruling that is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. So the Shaykh Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala said in his book concerning this third type of ruling, he said that the ruling that is mubaddal, that has been changed around, the ruling of Allah is well known, someone comes and he changes around. He said that this ruling that is mubaddal, there are 3 descriptions of the. It can be zul or it can be fisq. The one who came and changed it, he can be a disbeliever, or he can be a zalim, or he can be a fasiq. One of those 3. The Shaykh went on to say, look at this tremendous statement of this Imam. If anybody wants to go back and study the issue, you can study his statement. And this is what we're telling the people. That these ayat that they are using do not imply and mean what they are saying. The third point of the 4 points that the Shaykh wanted to talk about is that he wants to discuss it can be zul or it can be fisq. The one who came and changed it, he can be a disbeliever, or he can be a zalim, or he can be a fasiq. One of those 3. The Shaykh went on to say, look at this tremendous statement of this Imam. If anybody wants to go back and study the issue, you can study his statement. And this is what we're telling the people. That these ayat that they are using do not imply and mean what they are saying. The third point of the 4 points that the Shaykh wanted to talk about is that he wants to discuss now and mention to you the statement of Al-Imam Abu Hatim Al-Razi. Abu Hatim Al-Razi, rahmatullahi alayhi, who was one of the tremendous Imams of the Salaf and of the Sunnah and of the Hadith. This man said, verily, one of the signs of the people of innovation is that they accuse and they speak unfavorably about the people of the Asr. The people who are on the Sunnah and who are on the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the ways that you can identify the people of deviance is when you see them speaking unfavorably about the scholars and about the people of the Asr. The Sheikh said that these people who we're dealing with now, we know that they hate the truth that we're saying, and we know that they hate what we're trying to put across, because what we're saying is supported by the evidences, and what they're saying is supported only by emotions and vague statements and vain statements. So what do they say about the scholars who have just said what I just said, and the people who are teaching and educating the people? So what I'm just telling you, they say about them, wallahi, I'm going to tell you what the Sheikh said is true, because we witnessed it right here in Brixton. They say those people are murji'ah, and those people love the hukam, and those people love the rulers of these oppressive rulers. These are the vain claims and statements that they hurl abuse upon abuse towards the people of the Asr. So let us pay attention to the statement of Al-Imam Abu Hatim Al-Razi. The Shaykh went on to say, we know the haqq, we know the truth, alhamdulillah. And we are not going to intentionally go outside and leave the statements of those righteous, illustrious, respected imams of the past and the ulama of today, the ones who are well known and the ones who we trust in them and in their understanding. And these scholars of today and of yesterday, no matter how much knowledge he has, or no matter how little the knowledge they think he has, he by himself and alone, he is an imam who can be taken from and benefited by. They are the ones who establish for the people their religion, and they establish for the people principles and rules, and they give them indications and guidance to help them. They are the ones who are the protectors and the preservers of the religion. Whereas when you come to the people, these people who are hurling the abuses upon them, if you were to take the issue of al-irja, they accuse some of the scholars of being murji'ah. If you were to take the issue of al-irja, and you were to begin to discuss with these people who claim that our scholars are murji'ah, if you were to begin to discuss the principles of irja, and the rules and the regulations of the irja, and the belief systems of the irja, as well as the defined he said that you will find that these very people don't know what they're talking about, number one, and number two, they themselves in many instances will be falling into that description, and they will be the recipients of their own criticism. There's another point that I want to mention, and this is still with the third point, it's not the last point. There's another point that I want to mention concerning this, and that is that these people who are making these claims, they are making these claims from where? From towers He said that they are making claims from towers that are built upon high, far, far away from the real jihad. You always find them coming to the place where the kuffar is, where they are maxing and relaxing and enjoying the money of the kuffar and the food of the kuffar and the drink of the kuffar and dressing like the kuffar. In my opinion, they have run away from the battlefield. They are the ones who have forsaken the battlefield, and they have run away to safety and to the sanctuary of the disbelievers. I say to them, if in fact you are brave and you are true and sincere about what you're saying, then come back, meaning go back to the Muslim land. Then come back to the land of the battlefield. Your speech, all it is ink on a piece of paper. It's only ink on a piece of paper, and you will die while you're living, just as those people who have already died were dead while they were living. The last point that I want to make, the very last point, is that I realize that these people are people who rally around certain shubahat and ishkalat. Shubahat are those issues that are ambiguous and they're not clear. And the ishkalat are those issues that you may have the tendency of understanding them the wrong way. So these shubahat, what they do is, they come to this country and they come around young brothers, the shabab who are weak, who don't themselves know a lot about real Islam, the knowledge of al-Islam. People who have good hearts, but they have not really been introduced to the sciences of al-Islam. They don't really know what and how to make decisions. They have not been blessed with the tools and the utensils which will allow them to weigh the statements of people and to weigh the ideas of people to come out with the proper results. He said that these shubahat, they are well known. They are well known to the real students of knowledge, not to mention the scholars. One of those shubahat, one of those issues that these people use to mesmerize the young brothers, is some statement that they find here and there that have been recorded from some of the scholars of Al-Islam, like the Imam Muhammad Ibrahim, or like Al-Imam Ahmed Shakir, or like Al-Imam Ibn Baz and Ibn Uthaymeen. They'll find a statement by these Imams over here, over there, in this book or that book. Then they come back and they say, look what the Imam said. The Sheikh Warren just said, and when you actually look and you study the statements of these Imams are talking about what? Any time they talked about these issues, you will see them giving general descriptions and not specific descriptions, explaining the general rule of the person who does this and that. Another thing is, they do not say that the action, they are not talking about the person who does the action. They are talking about the action itself. So how are they going to use that in order to support and say, look what Imam so-and-so said, when in fact he's talking about something else? Another shubha or one of these statements or issues that these people use was something that honestly I'm not even going to try to translate, because I lost the flow of the Sheikh's train of thought. So I just can promise you people that inshallah will listen to the tape. Anybody wants it, maybe we'll get it typed up or something. But we do promise you, you're going to get the second one. The third one is the shubha of an istibdal. An istibdal is similar to the statement of what an Imam Ibn Qayyim said, where you change it around. So what they say is, or the Sheikh said, Yahamakallah, he said it's every single person. He said you need to understand that every single person who disobeys Allah, he is making istibdal. And again, istibdal is to change something. He said everyone who makes a mistake and who sins, he making istibdal. For an example, the one who goes and drinks a drink that is pure, good, and halal, and then he forsakes that, and then he goes and he changes that. He turns that upside down and he drinks a drink which is haram, like khamr. He has made istibdal. Do you say that that man, simply because he changed this for that, automatically he goes outside of Al-Islam? Likewise, the one who was ruling, he may change this for that, but you can't just say that he goes outside of Al-Islam until you establish the argument upon him. These people, in fact, are like, they are only small babies of their father, Dhu Khuwaysira, who was the man that the Prophet ﷺ said that the Khawarij was going to come from his loins when he grabbed the Prophet by his collar and said, ﷺ, some more money. So the Prophet ﷺ gave the man some more money. The man went away. The Prophet ﷺ said there's going to be people who come out of that man's loins. They will go in and out of the religion, just like the arrow goes in and out of the game. The Sheikh said the people who are making these claims are the afrakh, or the chicks or the children of Dhu Khuwaysira at-Tamimi. Finally, ikhwan, the Sheikh said that they hold on to, that they come to the young brothers and they try to fool the young brothers and mesmerize them with his right to say that there is a difference. They always hold on to this fact that there is a difference between the evil or the mafia and the taqi, which is a person minimizing the evil. He said all these people have to do is read about the Salatin or the sultans of the old Muslims from the time of Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan radiallahu ta'ala anhuma. If you will see that these people, when you talk to them, they do not know anything about the history. Because if they read about what these men used to do and how the response was of the scholars of Islam and the Muslims of that time, they would not be able to fool the people with it. So I encourage these people to come back to their sisters, because the situation is not as you are saying. These statements that you are screaming about and these vague, empty slogans that you are throwing around and that you are taking from here and from there, they have no benefit whatsoever. Not to you and not to other than you, not in this life and not in the next life. He went on to say that there is a book or a risala, a small treatise that was prepared by the Imam Muhammad Ibrahim rahimahullah ta'ala. He called this book Tahkim al-Qawaneen, and he talked about the ruling of us using these people's judicial system to come to conclusions. He wrote about that. He said that these people in this book, they always use some of the general statements of the Sheikh Muhammad Ibrahim, rahimahullah, in which he was very harsh on the people who judge by other than what Allah revealed. They always use his statement as support. Look what Muhammad Ibrahim said, look what he said over here, look what he said over here. Not knowing that A, Muhammad Ibrahim was making a general statement describing a condition and not talking about people specifically. And B, if you were to see the last speech that he wrote, when he wrote it in 6 different places in detail, where he talked specifically and he mentioned specifically names and examples, like in his book Al-Fatawa. Never would these people be able to use his statements in his book Tahkim al-Qawaneen as an argument to be introduced to the young brothers to fool them into mesmerizing. He said, our Sheikh Ibn Baz, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him light and life, the Sheikh said, it was said to him, and we're finished right here, it was said to him, what is your opinion, Sheikh, about the person who said, I've read the statement of the Sheikh Muhammad Ibrahim in his book Tahkim al-Qawaneen, and based upon his statement, I'm going to say so-and-so is a kafir. He said that the Sheikh went on to say, Muhammad Ibrahim is a human being, and Ibn al-Qayyim is a human being, and Ibn Taymiyyah is a human being, rahimahumullah ta'ala. Don't look at what they say, nor at what they do, but look at the proof that they present. And I doubt that this person has any knowledge. Finally, the Sheikh said to us, Ikhwan, this is the way these people are. These people take whatever they want when it's for them, and they leave whatever they want when it is against them. When it isn't according to their desires and their hawa and their nafs, you will see them being the first people to grasp that thing and to hold on to it, like the famous Imam of the Quran and the Sunnah said, Al-Imam al-Daraqutni, rahimahullah ta'ala, when he brought the narration of that tremendous Imam Waqi' Ibn al-Jarrah, rahimahullah ta'ala, this Imam Waqi' Ibn al-Jarrah, rahmatullahi alayhi, he said, the people of the truth, Ahlul Haqq, the people of the truth are those people who, when the truth is with them, they take it. And when the truth is against them, they take it. And the people of falsehood are those people who, when the truth is with them, they gladly take it. And when the truth is against them, they reject it. He went on to say, this is enough to hear what we said today. This is enough as a proof against them. And we cannot help those people who do not think, who not use the intellect in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. This mind in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given all of us. We're going to be questioned for it. Our speech won't help them, nor will the speech of the big ones from amongst us, meaning the scholars and the people who have presented us. All we can do, ikhwan, is make supplication for those people and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide them and to increase us in our guidance. And then the Shaykh went on to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.